Another question that we get asked quite frequently is, once we do get a settlement from the insurance company or get a verdict if it has to go to trial, how much of that money goes to the client? How much do they get out of it? And do you have to pay taxes on it? And all of that. Because the bottom line is you want to know, how are you going to benefit? The answer to that is, let's say it's a $100,000 settlement and the contingency fee is 1/3. So right off the top, you know that the attorney is going to get 1/3. That's $33,333.33. So that puts you at 666,666.67, give or take. The next thing are expenses. So typically lawyers like myself, we will advance the expenses to prosecute a claim or a case. We pay them as they go instead of getting a retainer from the client. But obviously at the end of the case, we want to get paid back those expenses in addition to the attorney's fee. Those are two separate things, and it's like that for every law firm I know. And so, and depending on whether or not your case settles before having to file any lawsuit or whether or not you had to litigate for a year and a half, that's going to determine how much expenses you have. Once you have to consult with medical experts or other experts, obviously the expenses get higher. So there's the attorney's fee that comes out of the $100,000. There's expenses, whether that's $300, $3,000, or upwards to $20,000 if you have a big complicated case and you get into litigation. The other big thing to consider are these nasty things called liens. And most folks don't understand that this is going to be an issue in their case, but for most people it is. And when I say liens, I mostly mean medical or healthcare insurance liens. And you're probably thinking, well, Jason, I pay for health insurance. If they pay for my medical treatment, I shouldn't have to pay them back. You're right. Under normal circumstances, you go to get treatment, you don't have to pay your health insurance back. But if the treatment was for injuries that were caused by the negligence of a third party and you get a settlement or a verdict from that third party, a lot of healthcare plans are entitled to recover what they paid. And it's important to know that up front. And if you don't have a lawyer, you never would know that, most likely wouldn't know that, and you'd settle your case for a value that doesn't take into account that someone's going to knock on your door 3 months later asking for part of your settlement. So getting a lawyer is always a good thing, or at least consulting with one. So health insurance liens are a thing, and having a good lawyer will help identify the lien, potentially reduce that lien depending on your circumstances. And if you have Medicaid, then the Commonwealth of Virginia will have a right to what they pay for your treatment. If you have Medicare, it's the same thing. If you have health insurance with your employer, through your employer, it's, I'd say, 75% likely that they will have a right to get paid back for what they paid on the treatment. If you have an Affordable Care Act plan, you most likely are safe. You probably don't have to pay a lien. That's currently what the law is now with the plans I've been seeing. Same thing if you work for the Commonwealth. What I mean by that is if you're a teacher at a public school or you work for a municipality for the government and within the Commonwealth, their healthcare plan likely does not have a right to come after what they paid for your accident-related treatment. And so, to sum it up, what you get out of the settlement is whatever that total figure is. If it's $100,000, let's go with that, minus the $33,333.33, minus, let's say, $1,000 in expenses. Now you're hovering at about $65,000. And then let's say you have a $10,000 lien. Medicaid paid $10,000. Now you're at $55,000. So $100,000, you get $55,000. Do you have to pay taxes on it? The answer is no. There are very few circumstances where you'd ever have to pay taxes, and it doesn't apply to 99.5% of my clients.